Hey, friend Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, I might just need a stack of pancakes for this beer. Fruitwood is an 8% cherry ale aged in maple syrup bourbon barrels from Founders Brewing Company in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The first time this came around in 2017, I seem to have just missed it for some reason, so this will be my first chance actually trying this beer out. I try to get at least a little taste of every Founders barrel-aged beer in their series each year, and this one is part of that barrel-aged series, but I found it odd when I was researching it on Founders' website. It's not on the barrel-aged page, but regardless, we're going to get a look at the label. We'll get it in glass, but first I'd like to thank my executive producers Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, Chad Shirk, and Cam Freeman for helping to bring this review to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, and maybe just throw me a couple bucks to buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon at patreon.drafttherapy.com, where you can get early access to these videos and a few other special perks available only to patrons, including some patron-only giveaways. Let's take a look at this bottle, at this label. As we start at the top, it has the Founders Gold cap. That's what kind of signifies that it's in the Founders Barrel Age series. If we look at the front, across the top in red on the neck of the bottle is a red label. It says Founders Brewing Company. If we look a little bit further down, again, it says Founders Barrel Age Series. It has a tree growing up out of the ground. All the roots are like holding a barrel underneath it, and it says Fruitwood, cherry aged in maple syrup bourbon barrels. On the side, it says Founders Brewing Company in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and on the other side, it tells you that this is a 12 fluid ounce bottle. So I think I may have found out why this isn't on the Barrel Age series page yet, but we'll get to that. This says 8% alcohol by volume. Again, Founders Fruitwood, and this is part of the 2022 release, so we're getting a little bit of a sneak preview of that Barrel Age series this time around. This will be part of next year's series. So this says, we took a crisp, light-bodied cherry ale and hid it away on oak barrels that have held both bourbon and maple syrup. After a lengthy stint, it emerged a changed beer, blanketed in notes of warm vanilla and earthy sweetness. The wood provides itself the star of this beer, adding depth and taming the tart cherry, while the maple imposes a velvety texture that lingers for not a moment too long. Underneath this, it says it was bottled on November 10th, 2021. I think this is a batch number next to it, gives you the government warning, all of the deposit information. So that makes sense. Now that we know that this is part of the 2022 series, makes sense why it didn't show up on the 2021 series page. I'm going to take this large snifter style glass and we're going to go ahead and crack this open. One thing I find kind of curious about this beer is that it is aged in maple bourbon barrels. Makes me wonder if that's why CBS isn't coming out, because they're using those barrels for this beer for this year or for 2022. Let's put a nose on the bottle. Getting a good amount of a bourbon aroma, maybe a slight cherry, slight fruity kind of aroma. Let's go ahead and pour it. Coming out a lot lighter than I was expecting. It's coming out as almost a rose colored stream here and collecting in the glass. It is a little darker. Maybe that's more of what I was expecting to see. We get about a finger's worth of head. It is very white. The head is very white for how, not really dark, but how not white the beer is, I guess, let's put it that way. So we got a nice head, nice compact bubbles, again, about a finger at the height, and it's kind of hanging on. It's not dissipating too much. Let's go ahead and hold it up here. And as you can see, that is pretty, to you, that looks pretty red. I guess to me, it looks like I said, a bit red, a little bit of a darker red, a little bit of a kind of rose color across the bottom of the bulb. It gets a little bit lighter. I can see it through the light. For you, it's looking reddish pink to me. It's about the same. So let's go ahead and put a better nose on the glass here. Still really just picking up on that kind of bourbon note to it. It doesn't have a whole lot of a fruity aroma. I feel like I was getting a little bit out of the bottle itself. But then out of the glass, it's really very faint. So let's go ahead and try this one out. Cheers. We'll talk about the mouthfeel first. The mouthfeel has a bit of a thickness to it. It is almost chewy. It is a little bit syrupy, but it's not super heavy. It kind of reminds me of actually a little bit lighter than some of the Mas Agaves that have come out. And if you've had any of those are like their margarita inspired beers, maybe more like tequila barrel aged inspired beers. It kind of has that kind of mouthfeel. Let's talk about the flavor here. I was really expecting this to be a little bit more more of that kind of tart cherry. I'm not a big tart cherry fan in beer, but what this has is it has a bit of a sweetness. It has a cherry sweetness. It's not too tart. It is nice and mild. It's not like maraschino cherry, that really kind of biting cherry flavor, but it has a nice mild cherry flavor. There is a bit of a syrup, a maple syrup kind of flavor coming through. I feel like you get a little bit of that maple syrupy kind of flavor on the beginning, but on the swallow, that's where that cherry starts to come in. That's where you start to get a little bit of a mix of maple syrup and cherry. The bourbon kind of characteristic really isn't in here much. Let's see if I could. I'm not really picking up on much of a woody kind of character or woodsy kind of flavor either. Again, this is 8%, so it's not really very boozy. It's probably one of the lowest ABV beers in the whole Founders Barrel Age series, like of any time, of all time pretty much. I think 8 is on the lower end. Usually, you're looking at 10, 11, 12, 13, depending on what kind it is. But this, I'm not really picking up much on a barrel characteristic. I am mostly getting a cherry, a bit of a maple kind of flavor in there too. As it goes down, there is, like, in the aftertaste and when everything's kind of said and done, there is this slight kind of almost burn in the back of my throat. It's not overly strong, but it's just a faint burn in there. And this is not like, it's not tasting like a cough syrup kind of cherry, so that's good. Again, it's not, the cherry flavor is not too sweet, but and it's not too tart. It's just a nice kind of mild, middle of the road cherry flavor. But I'm not, again, I'm picking up on a little bit of a maple. I'm not really picking up on much bourbon. There is a little bit of a burn, but I'm not getting any kind of wood characteristic in this either. So I'm not getting the wood characteristic. I'm not really getting much of a bourbon. I am getting the maple, the cherry. In that respect, I'm a little disappointed that I'm not getting everything that they kind of talk it up on the label. But it's a pretty easy drinking beer, 8%. Again, nothing too low, but for the Founders Barrel Age series, it's a little on the lower side. I don't know if I'd buy this again. It's not that it's bad. It's just that there's so much other stuff out there now that I'd much rather try than to buy, a 4-pack of this, to be perfectly honest. So if you're somebody that likes cherry in beer, don't be afraid if you don't like tart cherry like me. It doesn't have that tart cherry flavor. It does have a nice cherry flavor. It does have that nice maple characteristic, but I'm not picking up on any bourbon, not picking up on any kind of barrel characteristic outside of that kind of maple that they talk about. And I would like to see, obviously, a little bit more bourbon. It's not a freshness issue because this just came out. This was just bottled about a month ago at the time of this recording. And I would just like to see it maybe, I don't know how years past have been. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments if it's been, if you did notice all those flavors in years past. I would just like to see it a little bit match more of what it says on the label next time. All right, friends, that has been Fruitwood, a part of Founders Barrel Aged lineup for 2022. Have you had this beer before? Did you have it back in 2017? Where do you think it ranks in the barrel aged lineup of stuff that you've tried? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, if you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell. I'm here talking about beer twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free for viewers just like you. And you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. Cheers.